Good morning. Claire here in the Pacific Northwest Puget Sound area, Grow Zone 8B, and it's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all you papas out there that are taking care of your kiddos, bringing them up right, and putting so much love and care into them. Y'all are the best. And I've got to brag on my man for a minute because this is the perfect time to debut my birthday present, which is this right here. This opening right here has been here for a while, but my husband finished it with a gate that opens and closes. And isn't it just the cutest thing? I love it so much, honey. Thank you so much. You're the best. And this is the cutest, like, right? And with that being said, I have so much to show you guys that we've accomplished this week. I am a huge fan of chaos gardening. I love to set things down, forget about them, come back, and oh my gosh, it's a mess. I gotta take care of it right this minute. Kind of gardening style. That's me. So I cannot wait to show you all the things that are happening and growing and doing well in spite of me, and some of the work that I did manage to do this week. So this here is that Himalayan blackberry that grows so prevalently here in the Pacific Northwest. And as you can see, just from the weekend, this sprout had already been sticking out about this far, and it's come all the way down to the floor here. So I'm going to cut that back. I'm going to leave a little bit of the bush here. I'm debating on whether I should actually pull it out totally or and plant something in a pot here. But what are your thoughts? The sun is out and so is the calendula, but as you can see, there are a lot of really spent blooms here that I need to pick off before they create a whole bunch of seeds, and maybe do a little bit of minor weeding. We've already got a lot of baby calendulas here. I might dig some of these up and put them in pots and offer them to friends. Same dress, different day, but I just had to show you guys how treacherous the freaking thorns are on these things. They are massive and they hurt so bad. I didn't realize how out of hand it had gotten. It had grown so much into the garden bed. It was choking out the snapdragons and all the things over there, and no sunlight was getting into some calendula in the back that I ended up pulling out too because it was looking a little bit meh. So this is why I leave the blackberries, because the bees just literally go crazy for them. Look at this cutie little guy that's just having the time of his life going from flower to flower. Also, I'm not only going to be cutting back or pulling up some of these spent blooms, I'm also going to be cutting it out because it's really thick. I don't want it to get any fungus or anything from being like no air circulation. All right, so I've done a massive amount of work in this bed to clean it up. I have cut back the calendulas so much. I have a really good feeling that it's going to recover and do even better because of it. It had just gotten so thick. I cleaned out behind it and around it because there was so much of the this bluebell stuff, or not bluebell, but it's this forget-me-not variety. I don't know if y'all have this. I don't know if I planted it or if it's wild and it just super populates, but it overtook everything and was choking out. I have an hyssop back there, the sunset variety, and then also I cut back some of the snapdragons because they were so heavy and falling over. So I just want to encourage you, if you're a gardener that's afraid to give things a little snip or thin stuff out, go for it. The worst thing's worst, you got to put something new in there. But now I do have actual room to put things that I want in there on purpose. And here is the new and improved bed of the calendula and snapdragons and gladiolas. And now there is room over here for the sun to get through and for me to plant some other things besides all of this stuff. Now, this cleanup right here makes me so darn sad, but I had some snapdragons over here that succumbed to some kind of fungus, and I was hoping that if I kind of trimmed out some of it and let some circulation happen, that it would kind of disappear, but that did not happen. So I already have pulled two that were right here, and I'm just going to pull this. And as much as it pains me, I'm going to go ahead and pull this too because it's full of the same fungus, and it's already bloomed and done its best. So now I've got to think of something else to put in this spot. But I so loved having tall snapdragons right here. But we'll see how I pivot. But in the meantime, I'm just going to pull them out. So this is the rose bush that grows right in front of my yard. And it gets these really long, spindly um, vines or arms that grow off of it, and they generally don't produce flowers throughout the season, so it's just best for me to cut them down because they get in the way of the sidewalk, and these particular ones had started getting in the way of the entrance to the front yard, which was causing, I think, the Amazon people to literally just throw packages over the fence and not bring it to doorstep. So, and I don't blame them. So, just to keep them from getting scratched up by rose bushes, I came out here and gave this a big old trim. And here it is. It looks a lot better, just so beautiful, and you can really focus on the blooms instead of all the spindly things now. And I kept up the rose chopping energy here in the front yard for the other three rose bushes. Well, actually, four for the climbing rose as well. But they had all flowered a lot, and there were a ton of spent blooms. And it's really important to deadhead your roses if you want them to keep producing flowers for you throughout the season. And my roses are so generous, and they usually keep producing roses all the way up until like early fall if I will keep deadheading them. And so something I learned from last year, somebody told me that if instead of just cutting off the spent bloom at the like right below it, or even just picking a random spot to cut the stem, if you cut the stem right above a fifth five leaf formation, then you'll get more roses that way, because on a rose branch there is closer to the rose there's usually three leaves formations, and then as you go further down the stem there will be a five leaf rotation, not rotation, but you know what I'm trying to say. And so that's what I did last year. So when people are like, how do you get your roses so big, I don't know if this is why, but this is what I did, and it did very well for me last year, so I'm going to continue it this year. We finally have had a pretty good harvest of some not blackberries, strawberries. And it's funny because we hadn't gone to this grocery store in a few days, and Katana was like, I want some red berries. And I was like, oh, we don't have any, baby. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, we have our own little grocery store outside. So we came and collected all of them. Some of them had been out here too long. Like I said, we went camping, so some didn't get picked in time. They're kind of yucky, and the chickens got to have some of the more smushy, dried out berries, but there were plenty of great ones left. Here is our basket of goodies, and I'm just so grateful that we get to pick these in our own backyard. All right, and after being outside cleaning up the chaos, I have earned myself a really red, scary sunburn back here. So I'm going to end the day here in a minute by planting some potatoes. And I should have done this a month or longer ago, but if you know me, my get up and go to do things in the appropriate time slots, it doesn't usually happen right on schedule. So we're going to go for it. We're going to see what happens. I saw this trick on Instagram, somebody planting in laundry baskets with straw and dirt, and of course the potatoes. I chitted them a million years ago, so they are more than ready to plant. Hopefully this is not so crazy that they won't grow. And I've got three different kinds of potatoes, so we'll see what we get done here. So I started out, which you can't see, but I put the straw on the bottom. I put a good layer of dirt on top of the straw. I put about 5 to 6 potatoes in a circle to where hopefully it'll grow out the sides of the holes. But when you're planting potatoes, you want to plant the eyes upwards, not downwards. And then I covered it up with some more dirt, some more straw, more dirt, more potatoes, more dirt, more straw, and I did that all the way to the top. And I ended up filling up 3 baskets full of like this, of 3 different varieties of potatoes. One of which was Yukon, one didn't have the label, and then also some random organic potatoes that I had gotten a million years ago from Whole Foods that started to chit themselves, as organic potatoes tend to do. And now I just need to water them throughout the summer. Wait till I see some greenery growing out, then I'll know that it was somewhat successful, and then wait for the greenery to die off, and hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of potatoes. So even though I've put all of my potatoes in 3 baskets, luckily if this experiment fails, my son is the potato growing champion, so I already know I'm going to get some from him. But how cool would this be if this was successful? I have got to show you guys the most lovely view from right this corner. You can see this beautiful full rows. You see the foxgloves and snapdragons and roses, and then you continue to walk and see the lavender, and the Jerusalem sage is opening up, and we've got 3 different colors of snapdragons up here. I don't think they bloomed last year, so I've got a yellow one here. You have this beautiful sunsetty orange and pink. I love that so much. I've got a beautiful foxglove here, and then this lovely white snapdragon. Isn't it so beautiful? I love it. And here is the view of the garden from here. So many cool things, because since I vowed I wasn't going to pull up anything that was a weed this year, or looked like a weed to me, and just let it live, it looks like I have some fun surprises. So here, right here, I already know that this is a foxglove, so it gets to stay. Here, this looks just like this, so I'm assuming it's going to be that. But I've got some daisies, which I planted like last year or the year before, and I kept pulling up things that I thought were like plantains, because this sort of looks like a plantain flower leaf, but it wasn't. So I probably could have had a lot more daisies. And then, let's see, here's another surprise. So I was convinced that this here was borage, because I had borage in that spot last year, but no, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be some Rudbeckia or Black-Eyed Susan or something. And then I have all these little things popping up that may be borage, maybe something else. So I'm not going to pull anything up. Also, this is not borage. This is, once again, I'm pretty sure that this is Rudbeckia, which I did throw some seeds out here earlier this year and last year and all sorts of things. So lots of potential surprises in the works. We've got our snapdragons here. We've got some foxgloves here that look amazing, but they're right in front of this rose bush, so you don't really notice them. They don't stick out as well because your eye is just drawn up to there. Oh, this is a super fun surprise. Once again, I wasn't sure what this was going to be, but I knew I had put several different kinds of seeds here. So I've got some Johnny Jump Ups here, and there's a lot of this type of flower around, so I don't know if they'll get to blooming or not, but how precious is this? It's just the cutest little thing. This is my backyard, which I don't really show because it's a mess. We've got our bikes just kind of slung over here. The chickens come in here and dust bathe in the dirt. I don't really have anything planted. I've got two, three roses out here, and this is my favorite one though. My sister got this rose and planted it when Katana was born, like literally like days old, and we had just closed on the house, and she was here, and she did this for us. And this really is the happiest looking that it's ever been in all the years it's been here. Because it's about to be 4 years old. So if you have a wimpy, puny looking rose bush, don't fret. It's just got to get established and decide if it wants to really make this its home. So I've got a couple of blooms on board. This is called a Memorial Day rose, and I'll show you them when it's open because they're so like frilly and fluffy and they smell so good. Okay, so it is the season where fun things are starting to happen out here. I've got several blooms on deck for this particular dahlia. Also this, I planted some little seedlings that I had of dahlias, and I hope that like now that they're in the ground, they can really start taking off and being healthy. But I already see some new growth on some of them, so um, that will be so exciting. And over here is something fun. Is some peas I had planted a few months ago, but now we're starting to get little pea pods on our tiny TPT right here. PTP update. It's actually doing really, really amazing. Like I have to keep coming out here and sort of like trying to get it to go up the different rungs, but it's growing, it's going up. Here's some of the beans. It's wrapping itself up and growing up here. But it's already, I think, not quite as tall as it got last year, but it's doing better at this point than it did last year. So we'll see if it can make it all the way up to the top. That would be awesome. How exciting is this? This is some raspberries, and I've never grown raspberries before. I've never had them, and so when they start, they look this yucky kind of like gray color, and then they start to get a little tinge of pink in them, and then they get nice and red. But like, how fun is that? So we've already eaten a few of them. This week I had to pull out all of the snapdragons because they had yucky disease on them and they just were not going to recover. So I planted some different things here. I have some salvia. This is called blackberry something salvia, and so I hope it gets nice and bushy. Let's see, what else did I plant? Oh, I put a nasturtium that my friend had given me a month ago, and I just didn't have a place for it yet, but I'm going to put it here. Hopefully it gets big and bushy. She said it was the red orange variety, so usually they're pretty big. And then I had this, and this is honeywort. I have 3 honeywort plants, so hopefully at least one of them survives and gets big and bushy too. Because of this fence, I gained about a couple of feet here in the garden area. So now I need to come in and pull up this grass, probably put some cardboard down and maybe some wood chips or something, and maybe plant some stuff along the fence here. That would be fun. Thanks so much for sticking around to see what we've gotten into this week. I cannot believe that it's already the middle of June and summer feels like it's just screaming by. So I want to encourage you to get out in nature, really sit down, plop down, watch your garden grow. It's going to be like that, and enjoy all the things, go on all the adventures, and don't let it pass you by. So with that being said, I will see you guys next week. If you enjoyed seeing the garden, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more of it as it progresses, be sure to follow. So have a great day.